You may have seen this video before. Well, if not, that's totally fine because we're gonna go over some of it anyway. Yes, that was me almost a year ago, ranking martial arts based on their practicality in the streets. It also happened to be my most viewed video that I did not see coming, and quite honestly, it's the reason why I have annoying ads on my channel now. Now, this has caused some drama, arguments, and agreements in the comment section for the past 11 months. It's been crazy. So why am I making a second part? Well, it's simple. YouTube experts say that if a video does well, do something around that type of content. Okay, that's not really why. Well, it's part of it, but really it's because opinions change. In the 11 months of continuous training, thinking, educating about different martial arts, and most importantly, having real conversations with people who have been in these situations like prison fights, street fights, and ring/cage fights, I have had a change in opinion. But even then, it doesn't mean that it will align with yours, and respectfully, that's totally fine. So I'd like to call myself out. My mistake in the previous video was comparing competitive fighting to street fighting way too much. I was very black and white with it. Basically, if it works in the ring, it will work in the streets. While some skills may translate, actually a lot of skills may translate into the streets, it doesn't always mean that that's a scenario. So how did I do the ratings? The rating for these martial arts were based on the average school. For example, karate. Kyokushin karate is very practical and can be used in self-defense because of its full contact training. And I would personally put that at tier A. However, McDojo karate makes up the majority of the schools, and I would personally put that at F, making karate go at a very low tier. I hope that makes sense. So the keyword here is average, which I hope this video is not and you actually like it. Alright, one thing we need to consider in these street fights is that there are no rules, no referees, and it's completely unpredictable. We're not gonna be on a mat or a carpet. It can be a beautiful day, a rainy day, or a snowy day if you live on the East Coast. It can be indoors where floors are slippery, or it can be outdoors in a tight alley where everything is concrete and you barely have an inch to move. It can be in a bathroom stall where it's a one-on-one, or it can be outside on a sidewalk where it's multiple attackers trying to take your head off. It's a scary place to be where no one really wins. That's why the first step, especially in the free world, is to de-escalate the situation and run from it if you can. But if you really had no choice and had to fight for your life, which I hope never happens to you who's watching this right now, or to me who's making this video,
then stay tuned.
I was originally thinking about re-ranking these martial arts, but I may or may not do that. I'm just gonna tell you guys how wrong I was, because I know y'all like seeing people be wrong. I see you. I did my best to acknowledge my mistake, correct my mistake, and the first martial arts that I ranked was Kung Fu. I initially put it at letter D, then throughout the video I changed it to C. Kung Fu may be the oldest form of martial arts, don't quote me on this, but it's such a massive umbrella term that consists of a lot of different martial arts, like Wushu, Wing Chun, what else, Shaolin, Sanda, I believe, is one of the martial arts under the Kung Fu umbrella, and it's a massive group to really rank. It's pretty hard. It's like 11 months ago, I was just being a professional yapper and just pretty much basing it off of Google. Well, I'm still basing it off of Google for the most part. A lot of it is Google, but I didn't really think of it that much. I was thinking like, if it works in the ring, it will work in the streets. Whatever. We already talked about that. But now, Kung Fu. I had it at C. I'm not gonna re-rank this one. Can Kung Fu be useful in the streets? I would say if it's in the background of Sanda, where they do live sparring, where they compete and they utilize explosive movements, then I could say that it could probably work. But if we're talking about forms that is so ancient that they require weapons to work, a lot of Kung Fu forms are very weapon based, then it wouldn't be so practical in this day and age. The next one is boxing. In my previous video, I had boxing at letter B. Absolutely wrong. Boxing is probably the most practical combat sports when it comes to street fights. It has to do with the way boxers train. They train head movements so much. The best defense is to not get hit, and boxers are really good at doing that. Number 2, footwork. If you're dealing with multiple opponents, I hope you really never have to. I don't wish this on anyone. Boxing is really good at evading punches. Not only that, putting yourself in an ideal position where you can utilize your counters and, again, more defense On top of that, boxing has pocket fighting, which is a close distance fighting. One of the aspects that boxing does that a lot of martial arts lack is that it's the closest thing that mimics a street fight. Let me explain. I know there's no takedown in boxing, so before you kill me on that, let me just explain real quick. Boxing is one of the martial arts that really mimics somebody trying to kill you. In boxing, when they spar with enough power and explosiveness. Again, streets, very unpredictable. Somebody can be throwing haymakers at you, somebody's going at you full speed. And boxing does that so well because in boxing training, especially sparring, it gets to a point where sometimes the coach has to stop the sparring because it's going too hard. And what it does is it helps you with your fight or flight response. Because Mike Tyson said it best, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth or the face, something like that. So to summarize boxing does not only train you to be in a good shape because it's a whole lot of cardio, but it also trains your mental, and you just have to be careful with brain damage. The next one that I ranked was kickboxing. So for kickboxing, they train the head movement of boxers, some of the footwork of boxers. It's just that they don't train it as frequently as boxers do. However, here's the thing with kickboxing. They have kicks, knees. They can kick you in the groin. Kickboxing, I'll put it at B in my previous video. I was wrong about that. Kickboxing also deal with hard sparring. They also train the mental, especially Dutch kickboxing. They go crazy. They go very hard. Kickboxing is very practical in the streets. Again, with the hands, head movement, and footwork, they train those less than boxers do because they have to worry about other things, right? They have to worry about their knees, their kicks, and all that stuff. Defense against kicks, all those good things. But in my honest opinion, it is enough to be able to defend yourself in the streets. On top of that, kickboxers also work very well with your cardio, so you'll be able to last. You'll be able to run if you can run. It may save your life. The next martial art that I had was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And it's crazy. I had Jits at tier A. I was wrong. Now, I'm not saying that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is not practical because it has its place. And the place is not crowded places. And the place is not where multiple attackers are tagging you. And the place is not the bathroom stall. However, Jiu-Jitsu can be practical when you know for sure that it's a one-on-one and he doesn't have friends and somehow the fight ends on the ground. You're gonna know exactly what to do. No one is more comfortable on their back than a jiu-jitsu guy. I've done jiu-jitsu. Personally, it's not for me. I've been choked out multiple times. Man, these guys go crazy. However, we have to consider the scenarios that we may be dealing with here. And like I mentioned earlier, it's a very unfortunate situation, and the last thing you really want to do is get on the ground because it's just way too unpredictable. It has its place. I had LETHWEI, Next, and Muay Thai. I put both of them at A. LETHWEI, the art of the 9 limbs, headbutts included. Muay Thai, art of the 8 limbs, no headbutts. I had both of them at A. So if I were to put which one is higher here, I would go Muay Thai is higher than LETHWEI. And I know you may be thinking, oh, one uses the head and one doesn't. Muay Thai wins because it's a lot more developed than LETHWEI. I would say that 10 years ago, LETHWEI and Muay Thai, in terms of the way they were trained, they may have been like right here. They pretty much did the same clinch work, Thai pads, what else? Pretty much everything. They have sweeps, they have stand-up grappling, so, which is, by the way, very useful in a bathroom stall, like a very close combat scenario where you're in a tight alley. Sorry, Muay Thai and LETHWEI, best stand-up grappling, and that may save your life. Also, this is where I put Muay Thai above LETHWEI. Current state of Muay Thai. They now train hands only, with basically they're implementing boxing into their Muay Thai. They're working head movement, they're working footwork, and that's what makes modern Muay Thai scary. The sport is evolving, the art is evolving. They're now utilizing kicks from kickboxing. They're now utilizing punches, head movement, and footwork from boxing. That's what makes Muay Thai a very practical art over LETHWEI. But both arts, I'm always gonna say, especially Muay Thai, very practical in a self-defense scenario. Muay Thai, again, with head movement movement. Footwork can be used against multiple attackers. Teep to the groin, inside leg kick, but instead of the leg, it's gonna be the groin. The elbows are nasty. Clinch work is nasty. Both practical. I wouldn't say I was wrong on this one. Also, before we move on to the next one, I would like to thank X Marshall for sending me these shin guards. I haven't tried them on yet, but based on the quality of their shorts and their shorts that I have, by the way, I would think that these shin guards are also high quality. So if you guys would like to check them out, I'm gonna link them in my bio, or you can go to xmarshall.com and use my code SeanRenz and you'll get 15% off. They also have rash guards and a bunch of other cool stuff. Check them out. Next one is Capoeira. I put Capoeira at D, thinking that, oh, it's a dance battle. What can they do? I was wrong. Capoeira has very, very strong kicks, first of all. Head movement as well. Their footwork, their slick footwork can definitely be used in a self-defense scenario. I'm not gonna re-rank it, but I'm just telling you, and I'm admitting how wrong I was. I would say though, is that it gets very tough when it becomes a tight space encounter. I don't know enough. Maybe a master would know what to do in a very tight, enclosed space. Maybe he would know what to do to defend himself in that. Me, as an outsider, I personally can't see it. So if you're a Capoeira master, let me know in the comments below how you would defend yourself if you were in a tight alley using Capoeira. To sum it up, Capoeira is great footwork, great head movement, amazing cardio, by the way. So if you were being attacked by like 3 people, kick a couple of them and you can run, because those 2 are not getting up. Next martial art is Judo. I believe I put this one at B. Oh my gosh, yes I did. I'm not gonna say if I should put this lower or higher, maybe a little lower. Only because of the way Judo's training is. A lot of times, more often than not, you're wearing gi, and a lot of it is fighting for position, and then the takedown happens. If Judo had more drills against, I would say, punchers or people who wouldn't let you grab them, then I would probably keep Judo at B. But with just the way, I mean, amazing takedowns. Jiu-jitsu and Judo used to be, you know, like brothers like this, and then Judo kind of went its own way and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu kind of went its own way. So educate me more if I said that wrong, but that's pretty much like a vague history of the two. But Judo on its own, it can work. However, it is a grappling art. It can be practical in certain scenarios. Multiple attackers, probably not. Tight space, you can. There are sweeps that could be effective. It can work, but personally for me, not my main option. Next up, we have karate. Your boy put karate at C. The reason is, I'm a fan of karate combat. So we have those guys bringing back full contact karate like they did in the 80s or the 70s, where Kyokushin took over and even some Shotokans work. But unfortunately, karate in the last 20 years has been money grabbing. McDojos ruined it for karate. It's unfortunate. Fun fact, my first martial art was a karate McDojo. And Lord, I was paying, I'm not gonna say how much I was paying, but I was paying a lot. And what I noticed was the more you pay, the faster you rank up. If the karate is along the lines of Kyokushin, where it's full contact, then it could potentially save your life. Karate also does a good job, even the McDojos, they do a good job at teaching forms. So karate teaches their students how to punch, kick, knee, elbow, takedown, and even some karate have grappling. So basically find the right school and karate can be practical. It's very hard to do it, but McDojos, please beware of them. They might give you this false confidence, and when things hit the fan, it's more harmful than it is useful. Next up, ESKRIMA. And I got so much hate. I wouldn't say hate, but more like disagreement. I did ESKRIMA for 2 years, and luckily my guru I'm not gonna specify which one because of, you know, it's a lot of politics in there. But one thing that I'm so grateful for is we had a lot of one-on-one sessions where we just like sparred, and he taught me pretty much practical things and not just form. He taught me, for example, he taught me how to use my heavy shoes to scrape someone's shins. He allowed me to work under pressure. Like he's coming at me full speed with some power behind it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta defend myself. And he's doing this with weapons, by the way. So that way of teaching can be practical. However, is that the average ESKRIMA school? Is that the way that is being taught for the majority of the Filipino martial arts community? I still gotta go back to the Philippines and visit Cebu, by the way. But as far as ESKRIMA goes, I don't know if the average escrimador, I'm not talking about the masters, I'm talking about the average. If an average escrimador can really defend himself without the stick, the knife, the sword, or anything. Now, I can see how this could be practical too, because there's a lot of tools you can use while you're out there and threat comes to you. Grab a bottle, grab a rock, grab something to defend yourself with. So yes, I can see how it could be practical, but really, I'm not sure if the average school teaches these things and if it can work in a real scenario. Let me know in the comments below. We're talking about average versus masters. Can the average escrimador defend himself? The next martial art is Krav Maga. Pretty savage art. My training partner right now, who is an amateur Muay Thai fighter, he did Krav Maga for many years, and he showed me a lot of the things. They actually teach you how to punch, kick, do a lot of things practically and properly. Proper form, proper technique, all of these good things. They also go through sparring. They also go through full speed, full power, really good mimicking of a real scenario. Now, one issue with Krav Maga is it's gotten so popular as well that it has become like karate. There are Krav Maga schools out there that are McDojos as well. I believe I had Krav Maga at C, and respectfully, I think it stays there. Again, not because the art is not practical, in fact it is, but the other half is also McDojo, so you have that. Again, just like karate, whatever the Kyokushin version of Krav Maga, if you're around that, you're good. If you're in the McDojo side, be careful. Next up, Jeet Kune Do. This one had a lot of opinions, solely because it's Bruce Lee's philosophy. Jeet Kune Do and MMA are not much different. If anything, I don't even think there's a difference, because the idea of Jeet Kune Do is to take everything that works and throw away everything that doesn't, which is mixed martial arts, right? We figured out over the years that boxing works, all of these things work, and you want to put them all together. That's pretty much what Jeet Kune Do was all about. But I'm not talking about Bruce Lee's philosophy here. I'm talking about how the art is being trained. This is just my opinion as an MMA enthusiast as well, and as a Nakmoy. The best way to train Jeet Kune Do is to really take the most practical martial arts and put them all together, which in my opinion would be, you need a weapon-based one. So let's do Eskrima, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and wrestling. Those are my main martial arts. Biased opinion, by the way. That's the best way to train Jeet Kune Do. I think Muay Thai is the most complete striking. Jiu-Jitsu has the most complete on-the-ground work, and wrestling has the best conditioning, and wrestling is the best art to get someone from standing to laying down. Then of course Eskrima, which is the weapon-based. That would be the best way to train Jeet Kune Do. Now Jeet Kune Do schools, I've seen some of their ways of training, and it's still pretty old school. And personally, I just haven't seen a lot of, I would say, hard sparring. And this, in my opinion, is very important, because like I said, in order for something to work, it needs to mimic the actual situation that you believe is gonna work in. So yeah, I don't know how often Jeet Kune Do schools spar enough and mimic that scenario. Let me know in the comments below if you have Jeet Kune Do experience. I would love to hear your opinion. Next one is wrestling. I put wrestling at B. I kinda don't agree with that anymore because the only way wrestling would not work in a street fight scenario would be if it's multiple opponents, because you can't go and take someone down, slam them on the ground, and then their friends are coming for you. That's the only scenario that I could see wrestling wouldn't work. Other than that, man, let me tell you a story. Between May and July, I tried out wrestling. Boy, was it hard. I didn't like when people my size would put their whole weight on top of me, would take my legs and slam me on the ground and take me down. I could only imagine if the mat was concrete. I would be dead. And on top of that, an experienced wrestler has amazing conditioning. Also, on top of that, wrestlers have the toughest neck. They can take a punch. It's crazy. These guys are animals. So would wrestling work in a self-defense scenario? Absolutely. It absolutely would, unless it's multiple people.
I would also like to add that I put wrestling above the other grappling art simply because, other than technique, wrestling teaches the use of brute force that is absolutely useful in self-defense scenarios.
Next up is Taekwondo. I put Taekwondo at D. Honestly, I don't know which one has the bigger population of McDojo, Taekwondo or Karate. Maybe Taekwondo. It used to be a super full contact martial arts, and then throughout time, it just became watered down and it lost its value, and everything has been money or patty cake tap competition. It's unfortunate because Taekwondo is such a beautiful art. If you see the way that they move, the amount of flexibility and mobility that Taekwondo practitioners have, impressive, very impressive. It's unfortunate that the art has been watered down throughout these years. How practical is Taekwondo in a self-defense situation? I would say not very practical. Although a Taekwondo practitioner is probably going to be the fastest one to kick somebody in the groin, the thing is, would they know what to do when the situation occurs? Because again, there's no mimicking of what could happen in a self-defense situation. There's no hard sparring. There's none of that. So I would say that Taekwondo would not be practical, and I wouldn't change my opinion on it from my previous video. That's based on the current state of Taekwondo. Next one is SILAT, Indonesian martial arts, weapon-based as well. Remember when I said I did ESKRIMA for 2 years? My guru, which is very typical for ESKRIMADORs, also had experience in SILAT. Now, again, I would compare SILAT to ESKRIMA. He mentioned to me that there are SILAT teachers that teach their students the way that he taught me. But that does not mean that that is the average of SILAT schools. Some may be focused on practicing forms, and some may be focusing on actual combat. Some will literally come at you full speed so you can deal with it, so you can learn how to manage someone attacking you hard, attacking you fast. Again, I don't know the average school for this, and I think C is fair if you don't know what the average is. If you just use Google and YouTube, you know, again, I would like to know what you think in the comments below. SILAT practitioners, let me know how you guys train, how practical you think this would be in the streets. And like I said with ESKRIMA, SILAT uses a lot of weapons. If they grab onto something, oh man, it's over. ESKRIMADORs, what do you call SILAT practitioners? If those two martial arts, they get a hold of a weapon, oh boy, it's over. Man, they can use like a freaking, I don't know, they can use this mic thing and then hit you with it, or like do a bunch of things. Next thing you know, your neck's being caught with something. They can use a freaking yo-yo and dismantle you with it. The last one is Aikido. Aikido I put at letter F. I may have been very judgmental on what I said about Aikido. Basically, I would say that the difference between this video and the last video is that now I come from a better place with the knowledge that some of the folks that I talked to. I think it gave me a clearer understanding of not just the martial arts, but also how unpredictable it is to really get in a street fight or a street scuffle or whatever self-defense scenario that you may encounter, which I hope you don't. So Aikido, with all due respect, I would say the only benefit that Aikido really has would be like self-fulfillment. If it's something that you love to do, hey man, I wouldn't stop you from it. If it makes you happy, absolutely, keep doing it. Keep doing what you're doing. But in regards to actual self-defense, it's gonna remain at F. It's just a whole lot of forms. It looks fun, honestly, and the sparring or the techniques just unrealistic and impractical. Don't let this video stop you from doing Aikido if it's something that you love to do. I'm just a guy with an opinion, a professional yapper. That's it. That would be all. I did my best to acknowledge my mistake, correct my mistake, and not just be practical with my opinions, but also more find what works from those martial arts. The comments have been interesting, and I read every single comment that was posted in the last video. If I didn't reply to them, I probably missed it, or I don't know, I didn't know what to say, whatever it may be. But I acknowledged the comment, and I kept an open mind, and this video is the result of it. And I hope that you guys like this one, and let me know if you want more martial arts content like this instead of just pure Muay Thai. And that's it. I'm out. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out. Peace. We